So I will be overseeing our comprehensive efforts to evaluate our learning offer. And I'm looking forward to this course, to this forum, to learn more about innovative learning technologies and approaches to developing, designing learning, and evaluating learning as well.
Thanks a lot, Paul. And you have also other colleagues joining from the Humanitarian Leadership Academy, if I'm right?
Yes, Gabby.
Okay, Gabby, can we immediately have you on board as well?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so my name's Gabby Skembry, and I work with Paul at the Humanitarian Leadership Academy. I'm the Learning Programs Manager. And the Humanitarian Leadership Academy is really a global learning initiative that's really trying to enable people around the world to prepare and respond to crisis more effectively. So I have an overview across the design and development of our suite of learning offers within the humanitarian sector. And in the same way as Paul, I'm very interested in looking at how we can find innovative ways to really engage people in learning, and particularly thinking about how to make learning sustainable, scalable, and really relevant to local national need. And so really the contextualization piece is quite important for me.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Gabby. And I see also both your introduction and those of Gabby, lots of connections also with the original concept note of the DLT forum, and we hope also to translate that in a very concrete example that I can share with you already. Let's move on quickly. Katja, can you hear me, and can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, hi Tom, I can hear you well. I'm Katja Distante, and I work for the International Computing Center in Italy, here in Brindisi. And I've mainly been working in this agency for around 10 years, and I'm a training coordinator for DFS. Me and the members of my team, we work specifically on the ICT training program for the different peacekeeping missions around the world, and we run a series of training programs, both at global level, centralized level, and regional levels, and on demand as well. We are currently, with our agency, trying to expand our audience in terms of customers. And in addition to working with DFS, we will be working with agencies as well. And we are very interested in exploring new ways of providing training to the customers. Our trainings are very technical and specialized, so we are not very often involved in the design of training, but mainly in the outsourcing. And we are now trying to understand how we can outsource different types of training and provide also online solutions for our customers. So I will be very interested in the e-learning track and massive open online training track that you are going to offer in the forum.
Okay, thanks a lot, Katja. And I see that there are also other international organizations there coming from the UN family. Maybe you can quickly move over to Alessandro Napoli, who's calling in from Budapest, I think. Alessandro?
Hi, everybody. This is Alessandro Napoli from UNHCR in Budapest. I'm leading the team which is charged with learning technology. Here we have a pretty big center in Budapest, which covers the entire UNHCR population. And I joined last year, and before I was a similar role in World Food Program for 15 years. And we have a big team, as said, a large ecosystem, but we're always looking to expand more. Our mantra this year is scaling up, because we have pretty good numbers in terms of fruition, adoption of courses, but we want to expand them more, maintaining high level of quality. So I'm really interested into tools, options, particularly in making use of crowdsourcing kind of content. That's my main area of interest. So that's it.
Okay, thanks
you.
a lot, Alexander. And I'll continue to crowdsource on your inputs for the time being, because that is also one of the methodologies that we will use to make sure that the program is rich. You mentioned that you worked before in the World Food Program. I see also on our list someone from the World Food Program, which is Barbara. Barbara, can you quickly introduce yourself? And maybe first to unmute the phone so that we can hear you. Barbara, can you hear us?
Thomas, she had a problem with the headphone. She wrote in the messages, but she has been solving it now, so she should be okay in a few minutes.
Okay, we'll connect later. That's fine. In the meanwhile, I'll continue to Bettina. Can you hear me, Bettina?
Hello, I can hear you, Tom. Hello, I'm Bettina Berger. I'm from the European Patent Office, and I'm working in the e-learning unit, which is responsible for the e-learning program of the European Patent Academy, which is dealing with training of the outside world. So we are not training our own examiners, we give training in patent-related fields. We are based in Munich at the headquarters, and I'm very interested in learning more innovative measures, innovative techniques in online learning. We have, so far, we have been training examiners of other national offices, and our examiners were tutoring them, and now we are going more and more to a public program, and which also brings us to the massive open online courses, and we are also interested to hear about mobile learning. This is where we are not so very well developed, and we are also interested in gamification in the sense of motivating our students, as the patent language is a dry matter, also very technical, very specialized. Sorry for my voice, and also has a traditional background. So sometimes it's not so exciting, and we would like to hear more how we can motivate our students. And yeah, this is, and also about to hear about content management. This means how can we reuse some content, and how can we best put it into practice, and also systemize it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bettina. And actually, before I had to move to the introduction round, I forgot to put my globe on here. While we still very much focused on the European level, I would like to fly out and actually go to Latin America and see if Nidia is there. Nidia, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nidia.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. You're calling from Guatemala, if I'm right? Oh, there must be also a little, yeah, there's a technical glitch, but I could hear your last word. Can you try to introduce yourself?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm here in Guatemala. I'm working at Mariano University, and I am the Dean of Education, and I train a lot of teachers to teach others. They are also teachers from kids and young people. Are you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. It's nice to meet you, and I'm really trying to gain the most experience from this seminar, because we are interested in the new as Bettina was telling, I'm interested in gamification and mobile learning also. We are introducing e-learning in our university. We are at the first steps now, and it's for me a good pleasure to be with you today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nidia, and we also met each other before as part of the Open ECB Check.
Open ECB Check,
which is which is a quality assurance system for technology-enhanced learning. So for those who are into quality assurance evaluations, we might also have a specific discussion on impact on evaluation, where we actually experiment with some of the new models that we have deployed in international networks in different countries, and it would be also interesting to hear the Latin American experience there. So thank you a lot, Nidia.
Hi, Tom.
So trying to fly around a little bit and coming back to Italy, I see that we have colleagues from IDLO with us. Can you please introduce yourself? I think it's Chiara and someone else.
Paolo.
Paolo, yes. Chiara and Paolo, can you welcome?
Yes, we are connecting from Rome. Hello, everyone. We both work for IDLO. I am Chiara, and I work as Capacity Development Officer. Our organization works to advance the rule of law, and we mainly work in developing and post-conflict countries. Actually, the organization, in terms of its learning approaches, in the recent years has been shifting from an approach more focusing on training, on face-to-face training, to let's say a more comprehensive capacity development approach that tries to include more levels, so not only the individual level, but also the organizational, institutional, and enabling environment. We, both myself and my colleague Paolo, work in the capacity development team that is supporting the design and implementation of capacity development activities. So far, we have been mostly working on training, which is embedded within our projects, and which is mostly technical on legal and juridical substance, and mostly delivered face-to-face, but we are expanding to e-learning approaches and more blended approaches. Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard. Yes. Thanks a lot for this introduction. I'll check if we can now move to Denmark. I see Lars. Can you hear us, Lars?
Yeah. Hello?
Okay. Here, Lars, can you introduce yourself? You're coming from the Danida Fellowship Center, if I'm right, no?
Yes, and I should say that first hello to everybody. I'm here with my two colleagues, Helle and Maya, who is also going to participate in Turin. We are all three of us with capacity development advisors, and we work with a program that's intended to support capacity development in Danish-supported development programs. And we're going through a phase now, which has been going on for a few years, in which we are moving from a more traditional sort of training approach to a more diverse learning approach, including all these fancy options available to us through technology. So we are exploring some of these. We've tried out a bit of e-learning, very simple, rudimentary version, but we're also eager to see what are the other opportunities we have for enhancing our program.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Lars, and two other colleagues from the Danish Fellowship Center. And indeed, it's connecting. We've seen that a lot also in the past introductions with the different themes that were published in our, let's say, concept notes about scaling up, connecting, and innovating. But what does that mean now practically? For example, from a more traditional notion of training or capacity development, if I'm now talking about new ways of the future, what concrete translation are we going to give that? And indeed, what we try also to move beyond, let's say, the fancy names. When we talk about gamification, can you show us, let's say, some larger capacity development programs who use that in order to achieve the overall goals? And that's, we're going to work a lot with case studies that we have seen, that we have piloted, that we also learned from other organizations. But I'm already diving into the next chapter, and we have not completed the introduction round. I would like to move to my colleague in Geneva, Prasad Marin. Are you there? Can you hear us? It's probably still on mute. Prasad, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now. How are you?
Hello Tom. Hello everybody. My name is Naren Prasad. I'm an economist here at the International Labour Organization and heading the education program of the research department. I look forward to this training of trainers program. I'm basically organizing 3 training courses per year here in Geneva and in the regions. So I very much look forward to learning new techniques, simulations, games, and all those new concepts that that are out there. I'm not a professional trainer by qualification, but I've learned to do that, and I've been heading this training program for the past 6 years as a facilitator. But I want to just pursue further my interest in this field and continue learning new techniques.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tata. Moving and continuing to Slovenia, and I see that Anna is with us from the. Anna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you're calling in from the Center of Excellence in Finance from Slovenia, our partners in crime in the past. So can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Tom, for the words. Hi from Ljubljana. I'm Ana Frankish. I work for the Center of Excellence in Finance for the past 10 years. I'm responsible for the implementation of certification program in the Southeastern Europe. Otherwise, broadly speaking, my company, our institution is focused on training the public sector employees in Southeastern Europe and neighboring countries, and we focus on public financial management and central banking as the main areas. We do different kinds of training on site. We have started recently with offering online webinars and different online courses, but we know that there's much more out there to learn, and we would like to explore different options and solutions that are available to in the region, so that we can implement this in our program and offer it to our participants. Otherwise, I've been working here as a program officer responsible for the program of certification programs, and have quite a lot of experience, a couple of years in facilitating different workshops, seminars, conferences, and delivering the TOT course on methodology of training, which we deliver to our tutors to be in the region. So I'm very much trying to get as much as possible from you guys that I will be meeting in Turin. And as you mentioned, Tom, we have been working quite some time in cooperation between ILO and the CF, and some good things have come out of that already. So I'm keen on learning more.
Okay, thanks a lot. And with this, I think I'm through my first initial round of quick introductions to make sure that I did not forget anybody. If I did so, then no, I'm just checking and putting all the dots together. So we should be fine. Barbara. Barbara. Sorry, because we could not connect before. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you perfectly. Can you quickly introduce yourself? But you're coming from the World Food Programme, no?
Yes, I'm based in Rome. I work in the Global Human Resources Division of WFP. I work in the Capability Development Unit, and I am mainly focused on leadership and management programs for WFP senior leaders and leaders worldwide.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Barbara. So this may be...
Yes, but let's say that to make a quick introduction, these are the main points. I'm sure that during the workshop we will all have the chance to go further into our roles.
Yeah, for sure. And even in the online phase that happens right after this webinar as well. This is what we would call a kind of informal getting together. It's more social in purpose, and also giving you some additional access to information, and also respond on some urgent questions that may come from you. Because so far, if we look back on what we have done It's in this initial phase because still a lot of people are signing up. We still have some people coming from the Asian region who will also be present, but who could not be present in this initial webinar. That's also the reason why we record this webinar, to share it later. But also in the asynchronous forum of the eCampus, we will have the opportunity to continue to interact. And also in the quick introductions, I've seen plenty of potential connections out there in terms of thematics, in terms of questions. That's something we would like to elaborate bit by bit. So the main objective is that when you arrive in Torino, we don't have to introduce ourselves anymore. We all know what the expectations are about, and the agenda will be adjusted as we go along in the upcoming months. So that's the reason why we go for blended approaches. There's quite a lot that we can already do, because face-to-face interventions are investments, are expensive interventions, so we want to make sure that the period of being together is a little bit longer. You have filled in SurveyMonkey. We have not done that. Please do so, because there we get some additional background information. The results will be posted next week in the eCampus, so you can also see a little bit the different backgrounds more in detail. The agenda of the TOT forum, I'm going to explain it in 5 minutes later on, because there were some adjustments based upon the explorations that we're currently doing. You also see that we will give you some access to tools that we have already into place. The Compass tool is a tool where we have access to 60 different participatory knowledge sharing and training or learning methods that we also will actively use throughout the forum. And we would like to enrich it with methods and techniques that you also use, because I see that a lot of you have already a background as a trainer. On the blog of our ITCILO, you will see a lot of learning innovation cases. Of course, it will be mission impossible to tackle them all. That's why we are going to focus on some thematic ones that were already mentioned in the flyer. I've heard things about mobile learning, gamification, technology-enhanced learning. These are, let's say, the recurrent themes that you also will see appear in the agenda. And then here, of course, today, the webinar, that's what we are currently doing. So far, the information, we don't try to do on information overload. We have access to the flyer, which gives a little bit the overall philosophy. We have seen some trends in the area of capacity development, learning, and training. These trends we have tried to capture, and we will focus on 3 of them. And you will see that they all serve overall arcing objectives, like one that Alessandra was mentioned. It's about scaling up. So if you see, for example, that there's a dedicated session to MOOCs, we will use this kind of learning innovation to see how it's supported outreach and scaling up strategies of different organizations. Now, what the challenges are, but also what the opportunities are. And that's the way how the flow of the overall agenda has been constructed. There's a trend. There's some challenges out there. Do we do it different in the past, and what did we do better, or how can we do it differently? And that's the story that I'll try to tell you also in the upcoming webinar. This is what you see here is the blog. You will see plenty of innovation cases are illustrated there. This one is the last one on virtual reality application. Are we moving into a fancy gadget, or are we doing something substantially different? And can we illustrate that with practical cases on the ground globally where we have found them? So this is the type of questions that we will try to address and try to ask. Let me also briefly surf you through the agenda, because I'm not going to go session by session, but give you a little flavor of what the different themes are and how we are basically readjusting it. If you have any questions right now or when I'm talking, feel free to use also the chat box. I'm monitoring the chat box, or my colleagues are also monitoring the chat box. So in a way that I don't talk too much and that at least I answer on your needs. Here you have the agenda. We call it up on 2 themes in terms of exploring, scaling up, innovating, impact, and then connecting. These are more, let's say, the overall umbrella codes. In the first day, we are very happy to announce that before we dive into specific thematic sessions, we will have the Institute of the Future with us. And this is a future agency specialized in foresight analysis based in San Francisco. and they will send some of their foresight analysis experts to us. And what they would like to do is basically have a systematic look into the future of learning, that you will see their learning and capacity development in 2030, and the 2030 is not chosen by accident, as there's another important agenda, the SDG agenda, out there with different sustainable development goals that actually are linked to learning and capacity development. But not only to look at from a kind of policy perspective, practitioner perspectives, all kinds of perspectives from the micro to the macro level, and how we basically can reposition ourselves in there. And we thought it might be interesting, because we talk a lot about these past, present, and future tendencies. Can we also bring it into a picture? Can we position our own organizations or institutions in front of this picture? Because some people or some organizations just embark upon new experiences, whether that's technology-enhanced learning, or whether that's transformation learning, or whether that's the more, let's say, gamification or other types of things. We are going to make sure that we have a full landscape that explains the future, and make sure that we can position each organization in there. In there, we also have the possibility to benchmark quite a lot with what the others are doing. That's also for the first day that we ask you to bring along as many materials as possible from your organization. If you have an e-learning program that you're currently managing, bring along whatever you can bring. That could be digital, electronic, could also be flyers or anything like that, because we will use the materials of your organization to also, let's say, illustrate some of the patterns, some of the trends, and some of the signals that are out there. Why do we call it exploration? Because apart from connecting, we would like to have the big picture ready before we move into, let's say, the more concrete cases. The whole day will be about scenario thinking and foresight analysis in a very interesting way that will be also facilitated quite dynamic. So that's day one. In day two, we would like to focus on scaling up in different ways. You will see that a lot of organizations and agencies started to explore with new ways of developing their learning services and products. And one of the trends and patterns that we have identified there, it's nowadays quite a lot of people speak about design thinking, speak about lean thinking, speak about agile development, while in the past we had very, let's say, traditional approaches to construct learning packages, to construct capacity development strategies, following a linear cycle, the ADI cycle, the instructional design cycle, from analysis to evaluation. Are there new ways actually possible that organizations now systematically use to basically give guidance to the planning of their learning activities? And we will have Benjamin Kuhn from UNDP's Innovation Facility with us, which will illustrate that with several cases, and also hope to add some of my own. We also will move into the world of MOOCs, because we have a lot of experience from different international organizations that we are bringing together with international guidelines from OECD and the Commonwealth of Learning, who published a very interesting, let's say, manual with guidelines from A to Z. What we're going to tell about MOOCs is as applicable to any, let's say, technology-enhanced learning initiative. So it's not only surfing on the hype of MOOCs or what that might be next year, but it's on e-learning and so. And the big question is, okay, how can we reach out in a maximum way without losing the quality or the quality assurance out there? Then in the afternoon, and that was a bit of the plan, we had, let's say, foreseen 4 big tracks. Technology-enhanced learning, which goes deeper into the specificities of e-learning in different dimensions. We have a gamification track, because we have some very interesting pilots on using serious games into learning. So it's not just about electronic games, but really about how can we use gamification methodologies in our learning programs. We also will show some of the technologies that we have put into place. And we have a track on visual learning, which also comprises different dimensions, from graphic recording to graphic facilitation to data visualization. There are a lot of elements out there as well. I'll quickly pass later the floor to my colleagues Monica and Alessia, who might also illustrate that a little bit better. The thing is, with 30 people, we were thinking of doing separate tracks, but now more and more that we analyze the learning needs, we think we will make sure that all participants, so the entire group of 30, goes to each specific team, but then with people who indicate, if you look, I'm very interested in the gamification track, or I want to do the technology enhanced learning track, we will give them a specific role in the preparation phase that will start next week on our eCampus, because you're going to get a set of resources that are curated or that are selected by us in function of that track, which we will ask you to prepare jointly with us. So in these sessions, you also will be involved. How would I call it? The concept is a critical friend. Maybe Alessia can tell about that concept a bit more. Actually, it was learned in a recent workshop of Etienne Wenger done in collaboration with our colleagues in Slovenia. But you will see the afternoon, we will organize them slightly different, and also making sure that we cover the entire cycle from policy to practice, so that it's not only, let's say, hands-on techniques, but that we also can situate these things in a larger organizational strategy. That's a lot to cover. We really know that, and we realize that, so we're aware of that, and we're still elaborating as we go. The Wednesday will be the innovation day, and then we actually will go outside the center on a study visit by a uni management, which is basically the training or innovation lab of a bank here in Torino, who invested substantially in learn infrastructure, which is really state of the art. And instead of staying here in the center, we will do the activities in the city center. And you will see a lot of design thinking in action out there. And we called it the Learning Lab. Actually, it's a big laboratorium for creativity, for innovation, and for collaboration. And we will actually jointly go through a kind of learning journey with them based on identified themes that we have done before. In the Impact Day, and then I mentioned Paul's comments on interesting and evaluation and quality, we're looking also at new ways to, let's say, measure impact, because a lot of us are nowadays skilled by Kilpatrick models and very traditional models of measuring evaluations. Are there ways to go beyond that? Are there new methodologies out there in the capacity development area where we could use in our training or in our institutions? We have quality expert Antoni Camilleri with us there, but also we will have a colleague from the European Training Foundation, which still needs to be on the agenda because she confirmed only last week. We will also do an experiment afterwards, which actually should belong more to the Innovation Day, but we are puzzling with the agenda, into a kind of immersive learning experience. We have invited 2 companies that are specialized in virtual and augmented learning, so where you will get a deep dive into some of the virtual reality cases that were used in development context, and give you the experience. Is this really going beyond its gadget stage, or can we talk about the new learning experience that will probably be elaborated in the upcoming 10 years, by way of speaking, apart from the foresight picture that we will do on the first day. The last day, on the Thursday, will go really into the visual learning track of Monica. Maybe Monica, can you explain us a bit more what we can understand by visual learning? What is it all about?
Yes, yes, thanks, Tom. Just for you to have an idea about what it is, the visual facilitation, visual learning in general, we wanted.
Monica, we lost you. Monica?
Shall we?
Monica? Monica? We lost you probably because of the bandwidth and the video. Can you put your video on hold and just use the microphone and repeat, because we didn't hear the initial introduction? No, there must be, sorry, technical glitch there that we're trying to resolve right now. Yeah, now it's better. Yeah, okay. Can you repeat? Sorry for the interruption.
It is working now?
Yeah, it's working up.
Okay. Okay. Yes, what I wanted to share with you, colleagues and participants, is just a few words about the visual learning. Actually, we have started to work on visual learning already 2-3 years ago because we realized that in education and training in general, unfortunately, visual is not, that doesn't really have the
Oh, sorry, Monica, but we lost you again out there. Sorry, Monica, we have lost you again. In order not to disrupt, we'll first try to reconfigure the communication. Let me go and continue, so not to interrupt the flow of this webinar. There's a question from Lars, and he said, like, look, we are a bit confused about the number of tracks and whether they are separate tracks. Let me reply on that, because if you look at the original agenda, you will have seen 4 tracks. Track 1 was technology enhanced learning. Track 2 is gamification. Track 3 was visual learning, and track 4 was transformational learning. Now, based on the needs assessment that we have done, and also on the critical mass of interest that was there, and some interviews that we did with people, the idea is to reduce it to 3 different tracks. The 3 tracks that you see there: technology enhanced learning, gamification, and visual learning. Instead of organizing separate tracks, taking into account that we only are with 30 people, we're going to go through each track with the entire group, but then we will ask some people who want to dive a little bit deeper in that track, because they have indicated into their original sign-up form, to fulfill a specific role, the role of critical friend, which will be explained in the online phase. So indeed, to answer specifically, there will be 3 tracks. Everybody will have at least an initial introduction in the overall track, and some people will dive a little bit deeper based on their initial preference according to the methodology that will be explained later. Transformational learning did not disappear as a track, because you will see the foresight analysis that we will do throughout the first day is one of these kind of transformational learning techniques that we will apply. We also will use some other transformation learning techniques that you will also find in the Compass toolkit, but we will use it rather as a means or as a way to conduct different sessions rather than do a separate session about it. Also, in the last day, we will foresee an open space to dive into topics that you said, like, look, it's a pity that we didn't deal with that specific element. There will be a small open space to address these particular needs. So I hope I answered the question on the tracks. Is there any other questions out there right now? Feel free to put them into the chat box, and I immediately will dive into them. Maybe, well, the technology enhanced learning track is very close to the e-learning initiatives that you're currently doing. The MOOC question is also integrated in there. It's about, a lot of people have a learning management system or have a small scale e-learning pilot. Well, what are, let's say, the different elements that we can take to the next level? We're currently identifying some of the tracks that are important on there. Is it about quality assurance in technology enhanced learning? What are the different modalities that we can do just to go beyond the traditional tutor-based models? There will be, let's say, a separate, track on this particular topic. Gamification, I'm going to quickly pass through Alessia to give a little bit more background on the gamification track. Alessia, can you introduce that one?
Yes, yeah, as mentioned by some of you in the introduction rounds, we started looking at gamification as a means to further engage learners, promote learning, and solve problems through taking actions. As Tom mentioned before, throughout the last 2 years, we came up with a gamification portfolio of projects and products, which range from the design of self-guided e-learning modules focusing on increasing motivation and engagement through storytelling,
and incentives, the development of a massive open online course on how to use gamification to tackle and solve development challenges, until experimenting, as you mentioned before, with mixed reality serious games supported by mobile devices. So this is a portfolio of projects that we would like to share with you during the workshop, and we will share also more a curated sample of resources on the campus after this webinar, so that you can get familiar already with these case studies and pilot. And so the idea of this session will be that we can share experiences, exchange ideas, and also see how can we link gamification with the projects that you might have in your institutions or organizations. And Tom, if you allow me, I can also pass the floor to Monica, which is now following through my computer, so she can also give a snapshot of on the visual learning.
Perfect. That's solving technical issues on the spot. So Monica, we're back to the visual learning track. You said
yes, thanks. Thanks, Tom. Sorry about the IT issues. What I was saying before, for those participants who already selected the visual learning track, and also for all the others who will be with us in class, is that Delta started to work on visual learning already a few years ago. We have always believed that it is important to have a great mix of methodologies and techniques and tools, because people have different learning styles, different working learning styles. But then we realized that we needed to do more in terms of visual, because pictures are and will be always more important in the future. And that's why we have started investigating. We did kind of a research on how human beings have been using pictures to communicate. We have realized that in training and education in general, pictures, images, whatever is visual, doesn't really have the room, the space that should have, that deserves. So we have started developing tools and materials that are pretty visual. Actually, we have a session plans, template, agenda, timelines, and any type of information, any type of information, we often try to convert it into something visual, and we have been experimenting different softwares. So for the visual learning track, the idea is to work together on all these, and particularly on what's out there, what we can use face-to-face, but also at a distance, in order to have a more visual materials, training and learning materials. And in the second part of the afternoon, all participants will be engaged in a development activity. So you will be free to select the software and the tool, the channel you prefer, and to produce your own visual report and recording. That's it. If there are questions about it, I'm here. Okay? Thanks.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And indeed, it even moves beyond, let's say, the classroom, because Teams has data visualization also for communication outreach, from infographics towards the newest simulation packages that you have seen from Professor Hans Rosling in his Gapminder and so on. So these are all types of things that we will get you familiar with. You will see that for each of the tracks, we also will have dedicated experts and resource persons that move beyond ourselves as co-facilitators and also as, let's say, practitioners and experts in terms of experience. So you will see that at least 2 or 3 people will guide you through that learning journey on a daily basis. And the last day, of course, we need to connect the dots. We also would like to see what we can do together after this workshop, that it's not just a standard intervention of the 1-week workshop, but a little bit more than that. So that's in a nutshell the agenda. We deliberately chose you not to overload you with all information. What is important to you that you have, let's say, the general philosophy of the events, the different, let's say, themes that we will tackle. And now in the upcoming, let's say, 4 weeks, we will give you little doses that are easily to digest, and also you can actually absorb before you come here, because it doesn't make sense if we throw at you tons of books of all these new learning trends and innovations. Experience has told us that there's limited amount of time what we can do in order to combine it also with our professional lives and family lives. So we'll make sure that what we curate is really on the spot and is in line with the needs that you already have explained, not only in this webinar, but also in the survey that we have conducted. So checking if there's any questions here in the chat box, feel free to add them. As I mentioned, I'm very happy to introduce the Institute for the Future that will join us on the future of learning. They did a whole mapping of different pathways in which learning, training, and capacity development could go. They're not going to present it, but they are going to jointly construct it with us, and maybe that also could feature back into your own strategy of learning, organizational strategy, or even strategy at the micro level where you are implementing some specific projects. That's something that I already wanted to confirm with you right now. I also will give you some background information about this Foresight agency on the campus later this week. So we heard already some of your expectations in the introduction round. Our philosophy is always making sure that the expectations are shared in advance, because if you share them at the first day of our TOT forum, it's way too late, and then it would turn into a Shakespearean theme. Expectation is the root of all heartache, is mentioned here. There's a question of Lars that Friday is no longer a full day. We are readjusting that also a little bit in the line. The idea is that in terms of practical elements, that we can see that a little bit closer with you. I'm just going back to the presentation here. Forgive me. Yeah, okay, going back here to the agenda. Here we are still working. It's possible that we will work until the last session, and an open space session is exactly giving the kind of floor to all the participants. You will have had the time for 1 week of networking and exchanging, but there will be one specific element that you would like together to work on or to address in plenary. And through an open space agenda setting, we're usually going to construct a very interesting morning session where in small peer-to-peer learning groups we will work on these short topics. Apart from giving you a visual overview of the learning week that will be conducted by Monica, this open space is actually your last opportunity to address anything that you're substantially passionate about, but where you did not have the chance yet to address it throughout the workshop. We're fine-tuning this one, so also in terms of flights and so, we're not going to do a session until 5 o'clock. That is not technically and practically not possible, but the idea is to do a wrap-up early afternoon already in Friday. Usually the activities finishes here at lunch, but we want to make sure that we address all the different topics. So let us completely take a position on that one, and let's say in the upcoming week when we have finished the needs analysis, because also there are some activities and webinars that we would plan after the workshop to follow up. And we're doing also a final adjustment on that one. So I hope that was an answer on the question of Lars. Are there any other expectations at this stage, apart from your introduction? And also next week we can go deeper into that. Are there any other expectations? Put them in the chat box or feel free to take the floor. We still have, let's say, 10 minutes before we conclude this webinar, and where I'll also introduce you in the next steps. But if there's something burning, feel free to unmute your phone and put it into plenary. And as a webinar facilitator, usually it takes 8 seconds of silence in order to have someone coming up with a question. So I'll leave the space a bit open, and we can do it also in writing. Lydia, you wanted to take the floor, or no? So far, no floor. Anyone else? I don't see things coming in through the chat function. If there's nothing on the table, it means everything is fully clear. So So I'll continue for what all clear for me, I see from Alessandro, so that's fine. So really don't hesitate to put additional expectations, because we still have 1 month of time to adjust, and we really want to make sure that whatever we do is tailored to the needs of, let's say, the 30 people that are going to attend this event. We're, by the way, very satisfied with the heterogeneousness of the target audience. There's going to be a lot of connection, not only in terms of regions, but in terms of organization, and also in terms of scope, or what you really want to get out of this workshop. There's also a question coming in here from media on feedback mechanisms in large groups. This is particularly a theme that is going to be relevant in these MOOCs, because these are capacity development efforts where you reach out to 2,000 people, and how can you give, let's say, the qualitative feedback according to some of the criteria that we usually have in face-to-face training. That's, for the online learning part, we have specifically a dedicated answer, or at least different potential answers on that, so we'll put it there. Any other questions so far? No. What I would like to...
Tom?
Yes, Alessia?
There is a question I posted from Hannah. Apart from attending the webinar, where can we have a look at the participation to the course? Okay, so as you will see in, and this is the next slide that I have prepared, so the 10th of October, which is basically in 6 days, we're doing the final preparations onto that. You will have access to our online ITC-ILO eCampus. And to give you a little quick, let's say, flavor, this is our eCampus. In that eCampus, you will have all the materials that you will need, apart from the basic materials, the agenda, also the resources that we have been referring to in function of the specialized track. So that's where you also will be able to continue to interact with your fellow participants, which in this webinar was rather limited, but there, through the asynchronous setting, you will have plenty of time to network and to ask questions already. It's not only access to this global virtual room, we have also foreseen a system of what we would call individual coaching. Each one of you will be contacted by one of the 3 tutors, by me, Monica, or Alessia, throughout our platform. And there we really would like to dive a little bit deeper into your own concrete plans. If you said, like, look, we are doing actually at this moment, right, this, so that these facilitators will exactly understand what you're currently working on, because the idea is to connect that as much as possible in our TOT forum. Our main hope that comes out of this TOT forum is that with some of these projects, maybe some organizations start to not only network, but also start to exchange and start to build on something. And I've seen different examples. For example, on the mobile learning, I know that UNHCR is busy also with serious games and simulations in context. I know through also the Humanitarian Leadership Academy with a former UNHCR staff member, Atish Gonzalez, this kind of initiative is also moving on in different contexts. So, as I mentioned already with the Institute of Excellence in Finance, we have been working on communities of practice and so on. So, the idea of these individual coaching, and that also will happen in terms of dates from 10 October onwards, you will have access to that. The 17th of October, you will have a very clear-cut package with online resources that we have selected for you, not only in function of the track, but also in function of your, let's say, interests and needs. And then also from the 10th, we try, if needed, to schedule maybe some one-to-one teleconference. We would propose to start to work from the eCampus, and then if there's a need to do a quick follow-up Skype, one of the tutors might actually be able to do that as well. But that's, let's say, what you agree among yourself. But these are, let's say, the 3 milestones on what is going to happen between today and the 4th of November, which is the first day of the first day of the event. Then, okay, the notion of critical friends, it's Monica who mentioned that. We've mentioned a new notion here of critical friends. Maybe I can quickly pass the floor to Alessia, because that was a notion picked up
in a workshop that she did with Etienne Wenger that we also want to apply in this workshop. Alessia, what is this about?
Yes, yeah, we stole this technique from this workshop I attended in Slovenia, and basically the idea behind of us assigning you a role of critical friends will be to make sure that this workshop is as much participatory as possible, allowing you to play a critical role in the different sessions according to your interests, whether it is technology-enhanced learning, gamification, or visual learning. So as a critical friend, you will be custodian of the agenda and of the processes and of the community that we are going to create throughout this 5-day workshop. But this is just to provide you with a nutshell, and more information and more step-by-step instruction will be provided on the eCampus as of next week.
Okay, and then also when we open up the eCampus, then we also going to give you access to the full participant list, because apart from connecting with us, it would also be great if you could connect with the other participants before. As I told you, on the 4th of November, I wish we could start without even doing any introduction. That's the goal. There will also, and here I'm moving to the next slide, which is the last slide of the question. There's also an interesting evening program, at least on 3 different evenings. We will suggest you things to do. They might be a bit more informal, also connecting with the nice surroundings here in Curen for those who have not been here and who do not know the center. But there's quite a lot of happening in this city, so it's not all happening in the training center, but also in the city center. So that's basically all what I had to say as the convener of this TLT forum. What I want to say is that there will be a period after where we will dive into further up coaching, where we will provide the expertise not only of the team that I'm managing here, but also in identified experts that you will have met throughout the TLT forum and how they can support you on selected initiatives, whether that's on technology-enhanced learning, whether that's on a new project, whether that's on the strategy revision. This is something that we have to agree upon throughout the week in Curen. But again, that's too early at this stage. At this stage, we want to make sure that your needs are identified, that your expectations are clear, so that we can finalize the agenda in line with the expectations. That's our first goal. And then from next week on, we will feed you with some additional food for thoughts that we will digest in the upcoming 4 weeks. Okay, I think we have now conducted exactly 1 hour as foreseen. Any other comments, reflections also beyond this? Feel free to unmute your phone and throw it in the group. Or things that I might have forgotten. So everything should be clear at this stage. You can also use the chat box. Okay, there's somebody unmuting.
Oh, hi Tom, it's Gabby.
Hi Gabby.
It's all really clear and really exciting. I was just thinking, you know, for those of us who were, let's say, reflectors, if there's anything around additional kind of expectations, is there a best way to get in contact with you, or would you do that through Mirella or anybody else over the coming days?
Yeah, in what way? I didn't get the first grab of the reflectors.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's just that, you know, now you've given us a bit more insight into, you know, a bit more thinking behind the program. If we have any other ideas about expectations, you asked the question about whether our expectations can be met. Is there a best way of contacting you or one of your colleagues to share that over the next day or so?
Yeah. No, feel free to contact me directly, and also Monica and Alessia, as we are now, let's say, almost in the finalization part of the program, because it's this moment where there's still room for, let's say, some very context-specific expectations that you might have. And we are now revising, let's say, the inputs that we got from the surveys, and that already will lead to some kind of changes. Then from the 10th, when our eCampus is open, feel free also to put your reflections there for the entire public of all the participants. Also the resource persons and the experts will be introduced to you at that stage, because at this stage it's just, let's say, the facilitators that convene the meeting, but there will be more people joining us. So indeed, feel free to contact me directly on these topics. We'll do it bilaterally, and then depends when the forum is open, we can also put it into a plenary. We are very much driven by a design principle, is what we call redesigning on our feet, based on things that emerge, whether these are challenges or opportunities. We'll try to adapt as much as possible. I think so. It's not that we have a very, let's say, rigid curriculum out there. The overall flow, the overall objective, the focus on learning innovation is clear, but then you will see fine-tuning is always needed in function of the participants that are out there. And we have seen not any edition of this forum has been the same. We had forums that went much more into a kind of policy-oriented version, because we had a lot of policymakers among us. Then we had a whole version that was much more practical oriented and pragmatic, because there were a lot of practitioners with direct responsibility. So we will leave it up to the collective intelligence of the group that is out there to adjust the program. So yes, feel free to contact me and any of my colleagues.
Thanks so much. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Any other one out there? Okay, then I would, let's say, respect also the time frame of the webinar, and yeah, actually follow the suggestion of Gabi. There's probably in this 1 hour already a lot of things that you need to digest, and some of the ideas that you might need to reflect upon, and then if you have something concrete to share with us until the 10th of October, you can do it through the classical email or Skype that we have shared with you. After that, we will do it centrally for the entire group during 1 month until the 4th of November. So on behalf of the whole ITC-ILO team, I would like to thank you to participate in this initial webinar. As I said, it's Kickstart. It's a first, let's say, informal event. Many more things will happen on our eCampus, and we hope to meet you there virtually for the time being, and then physically in about a month's time. For any practical, administrative, or organizational thing that are still pending, feel free to contact Mirella, who's also part of the team. Mirella, you have been there all the time as well. So.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Mirella will help you out. Also, my colleague Elena Mondino, who's today not in the office, will also support you into that. Any thematical, content-related issue that you would like to discuss, feel free to contact me, Monica, or Alessia. So that's it. Thanks a lot, and I'll close the webinar officially for now, and let's see each other later then. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
So